Good evening and welcome to ATV. I'm Suad Asfour, your host. With me tonight is Ali Fadel. Ali was born in Baghdad. He holds a bachelor's degree in administration and international marketing from Al Asra University in Jordan. He is currently working on his master's in instructional science and technology at Braden University in Monterey. He moved to the Bay Area in 2009. He was the host of the Middle East version of American Idol. He also worked as a news anchor and culture consultant for 10 years in the Middle East. Currently, he works at Studies in Research Center in Monterey. Welcome to the show, Ali, and thank you for coming all the way from Monterey.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm delighted to be with you today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have had an interesting life. So let's start with your childhood in Baghdad. If you can tell us a little bit about your home life and what life is like in Iraq.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so as you said, originally I'm from Iraq, from Baghdad. I lived in Baghdad for about 8-9 years, I believe. Yeah, and you know, Iraq, it's a well-known country. It's a cradle of civilization. Well-known country of its human resources, natural resources. We've got 2 rivers, beautiful terrains. If you go up in north, the mountains, the beautiful mountains. If you go to the capital in the middle, which is we have the river, the good food, kind people. If you go down south, I know it's hot, it's humid, but still you would see full of archaeological sites. You would see religious landmarks, historical landmarks.
Wow.
It's a beautiful
what
country.
A beautiful country.
Definitely. Yeah, Iraq. It's as everybody know, actually, it's a cradle of civilization, and it has 2 rivers.
Its own reputation.
Definitely, yes. Unfortunately, I left Iraq when I was 8 years old, actually.
Yes, so tell us, where did you go and how many countries did you travel to? Where did you live in your life?
Well, due to the second Gulf War, actually, we were compelled actually to leave Iraq in, I can't remember, it was in 1988 or 89, I believe. We left to Jordan. We went to Jordan.
Was that with your family, your mom and dad? You had to flee the country?
Exactly. We escaped actually from the second Gulf War because we knew it's going to be a big war. So that's my dad actually decided to leave the country and go to Jordan. So I lived in Jordan about 13 years. I finished my high school, my university in Jordan. Jordan, it's another beautiful country.
So you had good experience in Jordan?
Definitely, yeah.
That's where I was born.
Yeah, the majority of my friends are actually Jordanian and Palestinians in Jordan. But still, we do have memories in Iraq because, you know, my relatives, we have uncles and aunts, actually, they used to live in Iraq. So, but I would say most of my time, it was in Jordan, actually. So I finished my high school, my university was in Jordan.
Do you still have any family in Iraq?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, we do. Yeah. Still. Well, let's say, unfortunately, the majority of Iraqis, they're everywhere, from New Zealand all the way to California.
Wow.
So yeah, because of the war, actually, because of what's going on in the country right now. So Iraqis actually, they decided to leave the country and look for a better living condition, if you will. So yeah, I lived in Jordan, and then in 2003. We went back to Iraq, and we felt that it's going to be a new beginning. It's a better life because of the third Gulf War in 2003, which is they call it OIF, Operation Iraq Freedom. And we went back to Iraq, and I worked in the media field for about 10 years.
Okay, that's what I want to know more about your career in the media and how did you become a TV anchor?
Yeah, well, I started. Well, as you know, my bachelor has nothing to do with the media. But I don't know, from the beginning, I used to watch the news bulletin and look at the news anchor. I like the way he's reading the news. He's like a magician. He controls and influences the viewers. So I'm pretty sure you have the same feeling, right?
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Exactly, definitely, yes. So, yeah, and I from the beginning, I said, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my best and apply to be as a news anchor.
So you started it as a hobby or as something you like to do, but not your professional major?
Yeah, I was a hobbyist, definitely from the beginning. And I remember after 2003, all those Iraqi TV channels, they started to establish their station in Iraq, and they were looking for correspondents and news anchors. But as I said, I didn't have any experience or background when it comes to media domain or media field. But to be honest with you, the first time I had the test, I failed. It was very hard test for me, and then the director, I can't remember, he said, just go back, I like you, go back and study.
Try again.
And come back, yeah, maybe I'll call you and you can come back
Yes.
and we do the test again. And yeah, the second time actually I did very well. And I remember the next day he said, come to the channel, and he handed me the camera and the microphone. He just go outside and give me
So
a TV report.
you
Yeah.
covered some politics?
Oh, definitely, yeah. For about 10
How
years,
was that?
it was horrible to be honest with you,
Really?
because it was a war environment, as you know.
Yeah, that time.
In 2003 all the way to 2010, it was unfortunately it was civil war. It was unrest, back and forth, demonstration, protests, strikes everywhere in the country. But I loved it. I mean, it's enriched my career a lot.
You
and
got your experience
Oh,
out of it.
definitely, yes. So I got promoted from field correspondent all the way to a news anchor, a professional news anchor, and then I had my own political show exclusively for me, which is called 0 Hour. We discuss international crisis. We talk about if there's any elections, we cover the elections. I host sometimes two guests from different countries, and we discuss international crisis, what's going on in Syria, unfortunately, in the Middle East, European countries, in the U.S. Then
So you pretty much covered the current events.
exactly, yes, about what's going on in the country, yeah, and not just in Iraq, for the whole region, for the Middle East, and we go beyond North Africa and sometimes.
I like to
European
know how
countries.
you became a host for the American Idol in the Middle East.
Oh yeah, that was a totally different story. I remember. As I said, because of the unrest and the demonstration, the protests in Iraq, and I felt myself, I'm not safe during that time. And I remember the directors and my colleagues, they came up with an idea. I said, how about you go and change, let's say, the field a little bit. We're going to stay in media. For me, I believe it's good to grab different fruits from the same basket. So instead of being a news anchor, they said, how about you go more do entertainment shows or reality show?
Yes.
And that was the first time in Iraq, because as you know, prior to 2003, Iraq was more isolated because of the former regime. So these kind of reality shows, they were like more new to the country. So I had the chance, the privilege actually to present this show for the first
Wow.
time
I
in
think
Iraq.
that's
yeah.
very lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was fun for me. I did it for about for one season, for about a year. We used to fly from Baghdad to Beirut because the finals was in Beirut. Actually,
Yes.
yeah, it was fun. But for me, I feel I'm fit more for news. I like
Okay,
to.
but you're very young. I mean, you started this as a young guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to, looking for self-fulfillment and chasing the dreams. But yeah, I feel
That's good.
right now we'll just keep going in this field and in this domain. Yeah.
And then you made your transition to the Bay Area. You came to United States.
Yes.
And you became an immigrant. And I wanted to know, how did you manage the transition?
It was hard for me, definitely. We're talking about a totally different atmosphere, totally different culture, totally different heritage.
That is hard.
Moving from the Middle East to the U.S. To be honest with you, it was very hard for me because, as I said, we're dealing with totally different people. But the key words here is you have to understand and you have to be aware about how this country run itself when it comes to tradition, customs, the culture here.
The culture.
Definitely, yeah. So the thing is you have to immerse. It's all about immersion, indulge
Yes.
to the society. Otherwise, you feel isolated.
Otherwise, it'll take forever.
Exactly, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of people actually, they move to the U.S., unfortunately, as a refugee or immigrant, they give up. They felt that it is totally different atmosphere. It's a totally different culture. They cannot live here anymore because, as I said, they have no friends, no relatives, no families. So they give up and they just go home. They go back to the Middle East.
Yeah,
But
some people.
I do blame them, and I don't blame them at the same time. I do blame them, as I said, because it's a totally different atmosphere, it's a totally different culture.
But
'Cause
they don't try hard enough.
Exactly. They have to initiate. It's all about initiative. As I said, immerse to the society. How There is a lot of rules. The first rule is first of all, you have to forget who you are in the Middle East. Whatever position you have in the Middle East, manager, CEO, just forget about it.
It's like starting over.
Exactly. You're
starting your
about to
life
flip
over.
a new page in your book. Okay. Plus, you have to forget about what do you have in the Middle East. Yeah, America, it's a great country. It's a totally different country in the Middle East, right? Third rule, I would say, immerse. How would you immerse? Which is, let's say, just go, I don't know, go watch football, go to the stadium, go to the field, and go with your friends.
Get involved.
Exactly, get involved.
Participate.
Exactly, yes. If there's parties, try to share their happiness,
Help in
their
non-profit
sadness.
organizations.
Yes, and then once you do that, trust me, you would feel yourself not isolated anymore. You feel like you belong to this country.
Yes, that's what it takes.
Yeah, so it did take me, I mean, a long time actually to feel more adapted to the society here in the country. But at the end of the day, I feel I do belong to this country. I'm very productive. I'm not just a consumer. I'm productive in this country. I work hard. As I said, I'm chasing my dream, looking for self-fulfillment. And yes, here we are. I live in the Bay Area. It's a beautiful, it's
The best
state
place
of
on
col-
earth,
Oh, definitely.
right?
The weather, the terrain, the ocean, the seafood, especially the seafood, the crab and the lobster, right?
Don't remind me with
exactly,
that.
Exactly, yeah.
So I understand you also have a kid. You have one daughter?
I have, one daughter, Natalie.
She's
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
So what
She's
do you
famous too,
do?
by the way.
Oh.
She has 15,000 followers in her
Oh my
Instagram.
God.
Yeah, I always
She's so
tease
young.
her.
How old is she?
She's 5.
5.
Yeah, I always tease. I was like, "Can you give me like at least 50, 100 followers?"
Wow.
And she goes, "Don't talk to me. You're not my level." So I was like, "Already?" Yeah.
So what do you do to ensure your daughter will know more about your culture? So, or what do you do exactly for her to maintain and preserve
that's
your own
it's
culture?
critical. This is vital topic. Definitely, it is very hard, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Arabic family. They do have the same concern. They worry about this concern. As I said, it's very hard because as a young girl, you feel like you're confused between two culture. So she goes to school, and they teach her a totally different custom and traditions, okay, and which is perfect, which is fine for me. I mean, we want to feel that we belong to this country. At the same time, she goes back home, and sometimes we speak to her Arabic, like, okay, so she gets confused actually. She has to do like a restart.
But do you make sure that she learns some Arabic?
Oh, definitely.
She
yes.
speaks Arabic?
She does, yes. Me, my wife, we tried hard actually to teach her, and we're trying to, most of our conversation in the house should be in Arabic. Yeah, because she always gets the English side in her school. So as much as we can, and she's doing very well actually. She speaks Iraqi. Whenever she goes to the Middle East and get involved with her grandmother and grandfather, she speaks
So it's
Iraqi.
a good idea to take her for a visit.
Yeah, definitely. My wife,
once a year or once every 2 years.
My wife always miss her mother and father. Yeah, so
That's
always
excellent.
Yeah.
But what do you do? What else you do to get yourself involved with the Arabic culture in the Bay Area or in Mantua, where you live, and around here? What do you do specially to satisfy?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
need?
for me, I love like public speaking. I participate a lot actually. If there is any opportunity that can be part of it. Well, in the Bay Area, up in north of California, the majority there is. I'm not gonna. If you compare California to the East Coast, you would find more Arabic community in the East, more in California.
More than here.
Yeah.
Well, it's more expensive here.
Exactly, yeah. Like I lived in Washington, D.C. in the East Coast. I moved to the Midwest in Chicago City in the state of Illinois. I went down south in Arizona. So where I found more, the majority of Arabs, they actually live and they reside in the East Coast. But in California, we're trying our best, actually. I live in Monterey. It's a beautiful, small city. I can't say there's a lot of Arabs actually, or the
not
Arabic
much.
community. No, not that much.
Just barely enough.
But as much as we can, actually, we try to get involved and visit our friends. And if there's any holidays, any try to practice our custom traditions together. Just make sure we don't forget our heritage, our cultural history.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a cultural consultant, that's a good indicator you are a good leader.
Yes.
So, what do you do? Or what does it take to be a good leader in terms of whether certification, personality, exactly? How do you, exactly, you are a leader in that field?
As a culture consultant,
What,
yes.
what is it? What does it take? How much work that?
Well, that position, I occupied that position. That was overseas in Iraq during the Third Gulf War after 2003, where my essential factor, pretty much, it's about to bridge the gap between both cultures, the Middle Eastern culture in
But
general.
you do it here too as well? Or?
Right now, yeah, which is I teach, the target language of the Middle East, which is especially for the Levant region, the Levantine, called Levantine, which is includes 4 countries: Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. So my role pretty much is, as I said, to bridge the gap between both cultures. When it comes to the politics, the economy, the heritage, the culture, the history, everything related to the target language of that particular area, which is the Levant area or the Middle East area. Yeah, and I'm trying to provide consultations, politics, in terms of what's going on in the Middle East right now. Unfortunately, the area or the Middle East, it's been witnessing what it's known of Arab Spring, the Arabic Revolution, and we need to give a good image about what's going on in the Middle East right now when it comes to a lot of people right now. They suffer. They want to just raise their voice to in front of what's going on in the Middle East right now. So that's my job pretty much.
So your capacity will deliver customized training to individuals all over the world, basically doing work in the Middle East, and do it here. It's customized to certain people. You do it in English and in Arabic, or it has to be done in just in English, or how you do that?
Both languages, yeah, both Arabic and English. It depends on when do you need to speak in English, when do you need to speak in Arabic. And as I said, we need to provide consultations about what's going on in the Middle East, the politics, the economy, the customs or traditions, and anything related to the Middle East. Yeah, because Middle East is a hot spot. So I'm pretty sure the Americans, they need to know what's going on in the Middle East. So we need to show them about the modern history about the Middle East. Arabic Revolution, right now it's been taking place for about 10 years, North Africa and all the way in the Middle East.
That's a lot of work.
I mean, yeah, but I love it. As long as you love what you do, you're going to dominate and you're going to do great, yeah. So
you'll do more and more. So do you offer assessment and debrief to complement your training?
Definitely, yes.
It has to be.
It's a long process. Yeah, it's a distinguished institute, respectful institute, actually, where I can provide recommendations, informations, critical and vital informations about the Middle East. And actually, my previous career working as a news anchor helped me a lot. It benefited me a lot when it comes to this position.
Your experience comes handy.
Exactly, yeah. It's working as a news anchor for about 10 years helped me a lot to work in this field as a culture consultant. And yeah, I'm still learning, actually, to be honest with you. I'm still learning.
I'm sure.
I'm still learning every day.
Every day.
Exactly, and I'm still chasing my dream. And I have big dreams actually in the future. So I'm doing my best. And nothing comes easy.
Yeah, you seem to be a hard-working person and good leader, so you will make it and you will achieve your goals and dreams. Tell me about like good, memorable event or experience that happened during your TV shows or something to either funny or serious or something you remember.
There's a lot, definitely, yeah. Working in this field, it's always fun. I never say I'm tired. I just want to go home, because TV field, media field. It's studios, cameras, director talking to you. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a lot of funny stories, and sometimes miserable stories, if you will. But working in the news aspect more, where like during recording, maybe some of the guests, they would like ask me maybe to go out, like they have a phone call, yeah, sometimes. Or sometimes they are sick, they need to go out during that we are on air.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
sometimes it happens a lot. Yes, it happens a lot. So I would, there's nothing you can do about it, right? As a news anchor or as a presenter, you have to. Sometimes they have to go to a break, and sometimes so they have to do something about it. Yeah, but unfortunately, in Iraq, where I lived for about 10 years, it was a war environment. Rarely would have like a funny stories. Yeah, it's all actually
Nothing funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a
It's
war
nothing
environment.
funny.
I've seen a lot of bad pictures in front of my eyes. Working as a correspondent, a field correspondent, covering the Third Gulf War, the clashes, the unrest, the demonstrations, the protests, and if there's any press conference, you would face and confront any security events in front of you if there's any clashes. But yeah, I mean, it helped me a lot. It
So,
added me a lot of to my career at the end of the day. Yeah.
we'll be talking about your life in general, whether in your career or you're immigrating to the United States. With all this experience you mentioned, and you have many experience so far in life. So what advice you give to immigrant who just moved to the USA?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And a lot of people need advices because they're going
Definitely.
through a lot of confusion. Since you have that much experience, what do you tell them? How to start off on the right
Well,
foot?
let's start from scratch. I mean, if you look, why would these guys leave the Middle East and come to the U.S. or let's say European countries? Unfortunately, those guys, they have no options because of what's going on, because of what's happening in their countries. Unfortunately, they felt that they have no option. They have to leave, and they know for sure that they're going to struggle during their way all the way from the Middle East all the way, let's say, to the European countries or to the U.S. But they decided just to leave the country, looking for better living conditions. Unfortunately, some of them they couldn't make it, which is we always hear once we wake up in the morning that there's a boat couldn't make it to the other side because it's overweight, 150 passengers. And once they let's say they survive and they come to the U.S., that's another problem they will face, which is how they're going to be able to adapt to the new culture, to the new atmosphere. For me, as I said, they have to take initiative, go out and have fun, and share the native citizen, their happiness, their sadness. If there's any holidays, if you have neighbor, just knock at the door, say hi, introduce yourself to them, and trust me, Americans, they are very friendly, very kind.
Of course.
Exactly, they're looking for diversities. They're always looking for new people to know, actually. So if you feel, for immigrants, for refugees, if you stay in the same square, if you will, you won't feel happy, you won't feel delighted. So just go out and have fun. And I would say a couple tips. There's a lot of people, they come to the U.S. and they speak English fluently, but that's not enough though. So you have to balance between the culture and the language. A lot of people, they know how to speak English, but they have zero knowledge when it comes to the culture of this country.
Yes, because the street language is totally different, and the mentality.
Exactly, yes.
They need to work with the public.
Exactly. If you know how to speak English and you come across, let's say, encounter, let's say at a club, or let's say at whatever, like a social place, you would see any native citizen, and then you can speak English, but what topics you're gonna talk about? You need topics that interest them. Okay, not interest you.
You need,
right?
exactly.
So you have to be aware about the culture. You have to know about the politics. You have to know about the sports.
Watch the news every day and read the newspaper
Get to
every day.
know, familiarize yourself with the country. Yeah, I can give you an example for that. When I used to live in the Middle East, the dominant sport game, which is soccer. We all love soccer. So we used to watch the highlights for the American football when we used to live in the Middle East. And I used to watch it and I was like, I can't see myself one day to be obsessed about football, because it's violence, players, they hit each other. So I don't feel like soccer is number one when it comes to the sport globally. So when I moved to the U.S., when I moved to the U.S. and I felt that there's a lot of people, there's millions of people here. They love this. They love the sport, the football. So I was like, there's something wrong with me. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
So
good.
then I feel like get to know the game and go with friends and watch it every
Yes.
Sunday, every Saturday. So that's the way. That's an example of how you adapt yourself and be familiarized with what's going on in the country.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. You
yeah.
gotta get involved and
That's
participate
number
and
one.
work with the public.
Yes.
So my final question to you, which we have 2 minutes left, going through all these changes in your life, I wanted to know what's your deepest measure of freedom. You came from a country, you left war, you changed, you moved to Jordan, then to United States, back and forth to Iraq. So what's your deepest measure for freedom? What does it
In
take?
here in this country?
Yeah, in life for
In life.
yourself.
Yeah, as you said, we moved from.
What does freedom mean
it's-
to you?
It's. I mean, it's a big word, definitely. I mean, where you can. I want to make sure that my daughter, she goes back and forth from school to the house
Safely.
Unfortunately, we missed that in the Middle East, obviously, because of what's going on right now in the region. And plus, yeah, go out. And
So living freely with peace of mind is freedom for you.
Definitely, yes. But still, we do have some memories about in our country. But hopefully, one day, we'll go back and and establish a different life and utilize what we have learned from this country and use it in our country in the Middle East.
That's amazing. That's excellent. You have so much knowledge and
you.
information. We would love to
Thank
hear
you.
you
I
more and
appreciate
more,
it.
but obviously our time ran out.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for having me.
coming.
Thanks a lot.
Say hi to the family,
Thank you so
and
much.
I will hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching us. See you again next week. Good night.